So today I am just going to do a really quick February wrap up. I actually finished 7 things in February, which is like super surprising to me because like who am I? I don't read that much and I don't feel like I read that much, but apparently I did. So we're going to talk about all those books today. Starting with the first book I finished this month, and that was Dry by Neil and Jared Schusterman. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like I've already talked a bunch about that book, probably in like reading vlogs and stuff, but basically it's a book that follows this group of teenagers after Southern California has completely tapped out of water. They have no access to water. And you're following these teenagers as they like go through this world that is just very rapidly collapsing in on itself. People are turning into monsters. Like, people are doing things that you would never imagine just to get a sip of fresh water. And it's so it was a really scary book for me because I can see that actually being the way it goes if that were to happen. I know that was it South Africa, like Cape Town, ran out of water or came very close to running out of water, and you didn't really hear about this happening. You just heard about them like buying all the water off the shelves. But so this book kind of took it to an extreme, but it was just so interesting. I really enjoyed it, and like seeing how teenagers would react to it and how they would survive in that area. And also, like, one of my favorite things about the book was these kids coming to the realization that their world is crumbling around them and like they don't know what the next day will bring, and just them realizing that the world outside of their bubble is just carrying on, like as if nothing was happening, like as if their worlds weren't caving in around them. So like coming to terms with that. And I really liked it. I think it's a really important book for people to read. Like, I know it's fiction, I know it's YA, but I just think it touched on a very important and relevant topic, and I just really enjoyed it. Okay, then we went directly into a 2-star book. I read Fairytale by Danielle Steele. I did not enjoy this book, and I don't think it's necessarily the book's fault. I think I just don't like Danielle Steele's writing style. She very much tells instead of shows, which is just not good. Like, it was very like, this happened, then that happened, then this happened, and they were wearing this, and they were wearing that, and this person was thinking this, and this person was thinking that. And there was absolutely no, like, nuance to anything. It was just very, like, this is this, and that is that, and blah, 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 blah. And it just, it took me out of the story so much, and I just really did not enjoy it. I thought I would love it because it's like a Cinderella retelling, but in the end, it just wasn't for me. Sorry to the millions and millions and millions and millions of people that love Danielle Steele. It's just not for me. Okay, then I read The Diary of Anne Frank, or The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I don't know, I feel like it goes by both. So this, I put it at 4 stars on Goodreads, but I don't necessarily like the idea of rating someone's life experience. I don't know why in the moment I gave it 4 stars. I honestly can't tell you, but everyone knows what this is. It's just the diary of a girl living through World War II, like a Jewish girl, and they were hidden in an annex for like 2 years, and just her diary, basically just like teenage thoughts during a war when you're in hiding. And what I loved about this book is that no matter what time period you're in, no matter what country you're from, no matter what's going on in the world around you, teenage girls are all the same. Like, we all think very similar. I remember, like, as a teenager, I could relate so much to a lot of the things that she was saying in her book, like between not getting along with her parents, boys, hating her friends. Like, a lot of these things are just so relatable to any teenage girl, and now I understand why they made us read it in high school, because it's so relatable back then. Reading it now, I was just like, oh honey, like, these things are not important. I really enjoyed reading that. That's actually one of the books that I read for my 100 books bucket list challenge. I looked up there because the poster's up there. So yeah, that's why I read that. That's why I picked that up for that challenge. And then I read a book with a really long title, so I'm actually going to read it off the screen. Don't mind me. It was The Year of Less, How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in a Store by Kate Flanders. I gave this one 5 stars too. I picked it up because it was she did like a year-long shopping ban where she couldn't really buy anything. She had a very short list of things that she was allowed to buy. And really, like, going into it, I thought it would be about the shopping ban and like kind of like a how-to on a yearly shopping or on a year-long shopping ban. But it actually ended up being more about like her feelings and emotions through the shopping ban and how it related to other different struggles that she went through in her life and relating them back to the shopping ban and how they helped her get through the year without shopping and like all this kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it. Like, I really did enjoy that book and I would recommend it. It's really short, so if any of that interests you, I'd pick it up. Okay, then I read Always Never Yours. I don't remember. It's Emily Wibberley and somebody. There's a picture on the screen so you can see. But I gave this book 3 stars. This book was... Okay, so you're following this high school girl as her and her friends are preparing to do a production of Romeo and Juliet. And she's normally a director for her drama club, but... oh my, how did that happen? She got the role of Juliet, of course. This book was so cliche and so tropey. Basically take any trope from a YA book and put them all in a big mishmash pile, and that was this book. It wasn't necessarily bad. I gave it 3 stars. Like I said, 3 stars is fine. It means I enjoyed it while I was reading it. I'll never read it again. But it was just so cliche. Everything that happened was just so tropey and so cliche. And I think, so I will say, I think I would have enjoyed this book a lot more had I read it when I was a young adult. When I was in high school, I would have read it. I would have loved it probably. But just as an adult woman at this point, I just spent the whole book, I was just sitting there like, oh girl, what are you doing? The whole time. This book was not meant for someone like me, clearly. But if I read it as a teenager, I probably really would have loved it. Next is the only book that I physically own, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This book was a real surprise to me. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, which I thought going into, like, not going into it, but I thought still 300 pages into this 435 page book that it was going to be a 2-star book at most. I really did not enjoy the beginning of this book. I loved the end of this book, so I settled on 3 stars. Who would I recommend this book to? I have no idea, because, like, I don't know. Okay, so the premise is there's this little village, and every 10 years, this dragon, well, they call him Dragon, he's like a wizard, he comes and he takes a girl from the town and basically just steals her away for 10 years, and then he releases her back, and normally she doesn't stick around town. Usually after that, she leaves, and our main character gets taken, and things go from there. The main thing I did not like about this book is that it used I don't know if you'd call it a cliche, but like the plot device of like, oh, I'm brand new at this thing, but I'm so good at it, I can go save the world. I hate that. I hate that so much. Like, maybe because it takes me so long to learn anything, but I don't appreciate characters that just do something for the first time and they're magically amazing at it. And that's like basically this entire book. So I didn't like that. What I did like about this book was the whole end, like the climax of this book was amazing. Naomi Novik has beautiful writing, and she's really good at writing action scenes and like battle scenes. So the whole climax of this book was amazingly done. I felt like I was watching it as a movie, basically. Like, as I was reading, I felt like I was just completely visualizing everything that was happening, and I loved that so much. So the last like 135 pages of this book, I loved. The first 300 pages of this book, I did not like at all, to the point where I really didn't think I was going to finish it, and the only reason I didn't finish it is because I got the audiobook from my library. So, I was a little disappointed by this. It had the makings of everything that I should have loved, and I just didn't. So, that's all I have to say about this one. And then lastly, the last thing I finished was Sugar Kisses by Addison Moore. It was the first book in a 3-book bind-up that I got. on Kindle, and it was a new adult romance. I gave it 2 stars. It was not very good. It was about this girl who's a baker who ends up having to move in with like the school's playboy for reasons that don't matter or ever come up in the story again. But it was just kind of their story of how they got together and the issues they faced with this guy being chased by every female that went to this school, obviously. And our female protagonist just had this like hard exterior, but inside she's so gooey, but it was really poorly done. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy that book, and I don't have anything else to say about it. So, oh, and then for books that I started and didn't finish, I was working on House of Leaves, which I don't have with me, of course. I was working on House of Leaves all month. I didn't really make a whole lot of progress in that. And then at the end of the month, I started Becoming by Michelle Obama and Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. So those are all the things that I worked on in February. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you agree with my opinions, if you disagree with my opinions, and why. I would love to have a discussion. And yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you next time. Bye.